Finally, we're back on our freedom machines again, bikepacking from home to one of our favorite little camp spots just shy of 30 kilometers away. It always hits me how packing your bike for a trip and heading for the outdoors from home transforms the way we see our neighbourhood. Even the most boring stretches of tarmac suddenly become part of a small adventure. I'll be honest with you, it really is a bit of a paradox, me being a biologist, an author, writing about how modern forestry is ruining Norway's old-growth forest and threatening to eradicate hundreds of species in the process. And yet, here we are, riding the very forestry roads that are the front runners of the destruction. To my defense, it probably used to be a bumpy old farm road here, or at least a trail, so this would probably have been the most sensible path to take to get to a campsite anyway. But yeah, I sure see the paradox. Still, even forests heavily influenced by modern forestry with its clear cuts and monocultures are a welcome change from town. We get to our destination after climbing 500 meters from the bottom of the valley. We're at the end of the forestry road and the remnants of old-growth forest meet the eye in the distance. The poor old beaver couple has had their dams broken. Where there once was a beaver dam, the creek runs freely, soothing our ears with a gentle sound of running water. Banjo was quick to embrace his new surroundings, just like the rest of us. There is no reason to glorify the side effects of the pandemic raging through our societies. Still, there's no doubt it also had a positive impact on us here in Norway. We're heading outdoors like almost never before, even if it's just for a day or trips like this, a short overnighter. Hammock sales have exploded, and the forests close to towns and cities have been filled to the brim with groups of families and friends gathering around campfires and sleeping under the stars. People are even moving out of the big cities and heading for rural areas and smaller towns. Maybe biophilia has something to do with it. I know, biophilia sounds like a tree hugger being a bit too intimate with the trees, but it's not quite what it's all about. According to Edward O. Wilson, who launched the biophilia hypothesis back in 1984, we humans have a tendency to see connections with nature and other forms of life. Our mind was developed in close relation to the life forms that surrounded us way back when we were skin-clad Stone-Age men and women. Today, we're dressed in synthetic outdoor garments with sophisticated membranes, shop our food in supermarkets, and have a hard time understanding how dependent we really are on the web of life we in reality are interconnected with. Nonetheless, our brain is, give or take, working the same way as it did thousands of years ago, and so our joy of nature remains. And when the pandemic hit us, that very joy brought us out of our apartments and houses and into the outdoors to brighten the dark days, living with the looming threat of the virus. The question is, what will we do when the pandemic one day releases its grip on us? Will we continue to head for the outdoors? And, even more importantly, will our joy of nature influence the way we treat it and the way we live our lives? Some of the largest studies on happiness show that happiness is not about material goods. It's about a hand to hold on to and a friend to talk to. Relationships are the foundation for happiness. If the pandemic could help us realize this, there could at least come something good out of the pandemic, slowing down our consumerism that's undermining our future existence. According to Banjo, being in the moment is also an essential part of a happy life. Sometimes, when we're out walking, he stops in his tracks, sits down, sniffs the air, and seems to soak in his surroundings in the forest. When I attempt to move on, he looks at me like he's saying, "Hey mate, what's the rush? Enjoy the moment." I'm teaching Banjo new tricks regularly. Now he's teaching me back.